I see the truth in different messages, different religions. But I believe the written religion is inferior to the observations of the top martial artist. It is the idea that is important. The Bible is Bible. It's half truth, half lies. This is part of why I'm not a Christian, quote unquote, because the Bible itself is like the apple. It is the knowledge of good and evil, but not the true idea presented perfectly. And as a result, Christians are able to go astray because they are fixating on the quote-unquote knowledge and not the true spirit of life and truth. So let's look at the word fulfillment, right? What does it mean to fulfill the covenant with God? Does it mean knowledge? Does it mean lip service? Does it mean faith without works? Fulfillment, philion, to fill. Archaic, to make full, fill. To put into effect, to bring to an end. To measure up, to satisfy. To convert into reality. To develop the full potentialities of. The full potentialities. So somebody who's a Christian must be intense with light, and same with a Muslim. Okay? And obviously it's the same thing with a martial artist. So let's talk about perform. Is it performing in terms of acting? Are we reinventing ourselves? Are we redefining things? Or are we trying to reconnect and rejoin to the Creator when we choose religion? That's why they separate themselves from the idea of religion and have a spiritual system and spiritual groups of people. What are they doing? They're trying to redefine you like the phoenix, the red bird of Greece. It is the leopard of Bacchus or Dionysus and Bess versus the leopard of Ra. Okay? Perform. Performer. Altar of perforner. Forner. To complete. To adhere to the terms of fulfill. Carry out, do. To do in a formal manner or according to a prescribed ritual. To give a rendition of, present. To carry out an action or pattern of behavior, execute, discharge, accomplish, achieve, affect, fulfill. The reason why there are different synonyms that have nuanced definitions, okay, is because this word has been redefined, right? And words are defined in a way that overlap with different ideas that quite often are adverse to each other, right? To put on an act, to perform. I'm going to perform as if I'm a hero. Versus I'm going to actually execute the behaviors in reality, in truth, and in the Spirit of God. No acting, no script, right? Scripture, script. No sticking to the script, but actually be that. Application. Applicatio, inclination, applicare. An act of putting to use. An act of administering or superposing. Assiduous attention, request, petition. The practical inference to be derived from a discourse capacity for practical use. Okay? So this also leads us to the difference between the forms of things. So we'll look at performance, right? The forms. So you can have the different forms are like words, right? If they don't truly express the idea, which is what sparring does, then they're just empty words being presented for confusion, demonstration, demean, illusion, Satan, a Satanist, deceiver, an illusionist, a magician, a sorcerer, right? Putting on a show, okay? Complete fulfillment and true performance. An application definition is more important than grammar. The highest principle or idea of good is righteous indignation. Now, why is that? Because we live on a planet where people are evil. And love is conquering evil first and foremost. So the most important and the highest principle is righteous indignation. That's what you need to conquer evil, to create love. The horse comes before the cart. Horse, martial, right? Truth. It comes before the cart filled with your love. You have to conquer evil. Okay, and that's how you have truly fulfilling relationships. When you make love to your wife, that's what the difference between making love is, the truth. Am I who I say that I am? Am I giving you the truth of my heart? Or did I earn you with my ill-gotten gains and illusion? And it is my lust, it is my disrespect, not respecting the divine order and God that got you this far. Tricking your wife, right? All sexual behavior outside of the divine order is rape, whether it is heterosexual or homosexual. Period. It is part of the illusion, right? What is drugging a woman and then raping her, It is changing her levels of consciousness and awareness, right? She may as well be knocked out if she's in an illusion, a state of illusion and delusion, right? These things go hand in hand, illusion and delusion. You're delusional because you see things in terms of illusion. And when society insists that the illusion is truth and everyone rolls with it, and this is how we define social norms, then everyone is delusional. If there's only one guy who insists on reality and everyone insists on social norms, they're all delusional, and he is living in reality, and only he has love. In the absence of the divine order, he does not have love with another woman, only love with God. In the absence of a divine order, all sex is rape. Period. It's just a matter of, how much intellect, how much knowledge of good and evil are you using to have sex with them in a way that seems less dramatic and less detestable to other people. And then, of course, that becomes relative to their points of view. Right? If they think that it's okay to beat a woman and rape her, then you might say, hey, I'm the most successful guy in society because I can beat them and rape them the most effectively. Getting more bang for your buck, right? Gang banging. Think about the parallels here. Think about the implications, right? Gang banging as killing people and being macho. Gang banging as running a train on a woman who, whether she thinks she's bad or not, is basically submitting to their macho bullshit. Okay? Masculinity is not toxic. It is what creates the divine order. The real man lives in the divine order. The fake man, the little boy that never grew up, who's a little mischievous scumbag, is the rapist. He's the drug pusher. He's the pharmaceutical scumbag. He upholds the state. He deals in sex trafficking. He deals in coercion. He feels like a man by coercing women. And part of that is getting money in our society, in our crony capitalist society. So to get money, to then bang a woman outside of the divine order is being a little brat that is raping, whether she, quote unquote, consents or not. Is there consent when somebody is not in reality? When you helped put them in that delusional state, could she possibly consent? There's the con and the scent. I smell a rat. The IQ test is similar. It helps create the illusion. What is the IQ test versus light contact sparring test? Science, math, reading comprehension, schooling, mental condition, and ability to learn in a Western system, with sabotage not being considered, gives you your score on the IQ test. It's not your ability to heal from that sabotage. It's not what you would be otherwise. And when this is used for to determine people's worth as racial groups, as politics divides people into, what good is it? When sabotage is not considered, what good is a test? Oh, I have the cheat sheet right here and I got 100%. A fucking genius, scored very low because the test was very hard. And he didn't have the cheat sheet. What good is that test? We're not going to consider drugging your water, your sabotage schools. We're just going to consider that, the score on the test, and then we're going to design society accordingly based on that. It's nonsense. That's so that if anything in a nutshell, that shows your ability to conform to evil, your people's ability, the individual ability, and you're being rewarded for that conformity. That shows how much of a scumbag you are, how much evil you have absorbed. This has no spiritual worth. This doesn't tell us the worth of a human being, the content of their character. Is that what Martin Luther King said? We want to judge people by their ability to network with geeks and to learn the tricks of the trade and to score high on tests that favor Western reproduction. No. But the content of one's character, which certainly comes as a result of considering one's obstacles. And to define that person by his character, you must consider their obstacles. So if somebody is not used to considering obstacles and doing it fairly, they are a bad person. If they make policy and vote in a way that reflects their inability to righteously consider obstacles, they are a bad person. If we say, well, when we consider whether or not a woman is raped, don't we consider the obstacles she faced in the process of consenting? And what about the obstacles humanity faces in the process of consenting to the validity of the IQ test and the obstacles the individual taking the test is facing? So what does contact sparring show up to this point, now that they have developed new forms of sabotage? It's a mind, body, soul test of spiritual insight and the ability to communicate that sight. Sabotage has now made this test invalid too. The mind, body, soul test of spiritual sight, transferable skills that are life skills, timing, right? Speed, these things matter. How quickly you move through life and get things done matter. If you sit on your ass all day and you just, you write, one half-ass paper, right? Part of the problem is you didn't think fast enough. You only live once, life is short. Life is a bitch, and it's because of those obstacles. And people who don't consider those obstacles when they tell you what is right and wrong and who is spiritual and who isn't is the bitch. They are the obstacle. What is the biggest obstacle of all? It's the living obstacle. Why didn't Jesus write anything down? Because the biggest blessing is the living blessing. The biggest obstacle is the living obstacle. The biggest evil is the living evil. So what does this have to do with women and being fulfilled? Are you doing your children any favors when you create a society where they cannot truly be fulfilled? They are already dead. The world has a bunch of corpses walking around, a bunch of zombies. You are the zombies. The people in the divine order are the true human beings, the children of God. You're empty shells, helping maintain magic spells, on your way to hell because you refused God's wills. The highest principle or idea of good is righteous indignation, pure right. Put the right in righteous indignation. Dig in it. Dig in your nation. Dig in all nations. Get to the bottom of things. Have the courage and the heart to tell the truth. The priest cannot be a good priest if he doesn't have the courage to tell the truth. It is not enough to join a group of people, a church. I am a Catholic and we're all going to be Catholics. I'm a Protestant. Well, no. Jesus did not call himself any of these things. I'm not even a Christian. But you have to extract the moral of the story. The moral of the story is he who is most insightful tells the story. Everyone else should put their hands over their mouths if they are not repeating what he has said in the spirit of how he said it, in the spirit that he was in when he said it. I say it again, the written religion is inferior to the observations of the top martial artist. All the churches on the planet putting their heads together are inferior to my observations. Period. If you cannot beat me one-on-one and you have to come up with one message and you can't find one person to beat me when you put all of your heads together, what makes you think you can come up with one superior explanation? Nothing is true unless I have signed off on it, because everyone else lives a lie. And obviously, if it comes from God, it is true. But here's the problem. Every church, every philosophy, every movement, every man, woman, and child is outside of the order other than myself. They are all obstacles. You are the obstacles. There are varying degrees of obstacles. Life has become a labyrinth, an obstacle course, a drug dealer's paradise. If you're living in a gangster's paradise, like Coolio said all those years ago, and drug dealers are the biggest gangsters of all, and bankers, then you're in a drug dealing, bankers, rape culture, quote unquote paradise. Right? There's no paradise in hell. There's no Elysian fields or whatever. Hell is the absence of the divine order. If you are outside of it, if you are in rebellion in heaven and you say, I demand equality, then you go to hell. There is no justice without the divine order. There is no righteous indignation without it. There is just illusion, your confusion, your selfishness, and your ulterior motives. Thank you.